everyone out there in YouTube land. I hope that you're doing well, that you are painting, doing some art, getting outside. Hopefully you have some good weather, maybe like going boating down a river or sitting outside and doing some plein air painting or something like that. Spending time with your family even. I hope that you're able to do some things like that. And today I'm going to show you something that really is going to take me out of my comfort zone. I'm going to work on a face, like drawing a face, painting a face, out of my head. And I want him to be happy, smiling, so an expression on his face even. It's not just like one of those pencil drawings that's all like calculated. It's got to be a little bit harder than that, right? So I definitely am challenging myself. And I hope that you enjoy it. I struggled a little bit, as you'll see, but it's definitely been an adventure. And now I get to show you what I'm going to do. Have fun watching. All right, so for this painting, I'm coming up with all of it from my head, which is something that I don't normally do. I'm doing all these different people, just trying to basically come up with them. So I've done paintings from my imagination before, but I always took reference photos. I always had something to copy and go by. But in this one, I'm just trying to do it, just wing it all. So this guy right here, I want him to be kind of a younger guy, just having some fun, playing his fiddle. I've already had someone point out that his head is kind of tilted the wrong way. If he's playing the fiddle here, he should have it this way, but I just kind of like that because it makes it look more like he's having fun, he's dancing, not really doing it completely right. I just think it's kind of more interesting. I have watched a few YouTube videos. One of my favorite is Mural Joe. He does amazing stuff from his head all the time. It's super inspiring, so I'm gonna try and see what I can come up with. All right, now I know that when you're thinking of doing something from your head, doing a portrait or whatever you're doing, you need to focus on the lighting. So this is kind of a complicated lighting situation. I've got a light back here, a light up here, a light on this side. I've got some moonlight coming down from the top. They're in a ship, so that's like they're below decks. But I think I'm going to try to have mostly this light shining on him with a little bit of like rim light on this side, which can be a bit of a different color. I'll play with that a little bit, see how detailed and complicated I can get. So you've got to think about like the planes on the face. So for instance, this side of his cheek is going to be different from the top of his cheekbone, and his eyes are going to be different because they're kind of sunken in a little bit, just like on every person's face. Below his nose there's going to be a shadow. So let's just get into it. I like to start with white or like a light color to try to just get my lights in there first, and then maybe do shadows and then more light and then more shadows, do washes over top of it. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I've got a butcher tray here. That's what I use to mix my colors on. And I am not very generous with my color. I usually just use a tiny bit. Use what I need and then wash my palette off and then get a tiny bit more paint. So like you can see, I just got a tiny bit there. I think I'm gonna add some magenta and some yellow to this to just kind of make it a bit more orangey. Get it a little closer to where I want it to be in the end. Kind of running out of a lot of paint here. My white is almost out, my pink magenta is almost out. Got a lot of yellow here still though. I've seen a lot of artists paint with a ton of paint on their brush and they just like slap it on and it looks so cool and so painterly. I've never been able to get into that. I would like to try for my next one. But for this painting, I'm already trying so many new things that I didn't want to add another new thing because as pessimistic as I am, I feel like if it doesn't turn out, then I'll at least know why it didn't turn out. Okay, here we go. So I know his eyes will be in here because I've thought about like that curve of his head, the perspective on here. So his nose is going to be about here. And I think it's like pretty much the nose, the top of the eyebrows and the top of the cheekbones that are the lightest parts on a face. And sometimes, depending on the lighting, the top of that chin is going to be bright as well. So I want his head to be really like turned. Like I said, I'm trying to make it look like they're in motion, like they're moving. So I can see it looks pretty ridiculous at the beginning. There's not much to dig into yet, but one thing that I like to do just to get a hint of something is to use a big dry brush and just make everything soft. And it kind of gives you a bit more of an impression of realism just at the very beginning. I use my fingers a lot too. I have another video called Blending with Acrylics, and I do a face in that one as well. And I just do it all this way, like just put paint on, rub it out, put it on, rub it, make it super ghosty and super soft. And it gives you a really interesting look. Okay, right now he just looks sad. There we go. That's the other thing. I want to try to bring out some joy on their faces, make this look like a really fun time. So trying to paint a face is one thing, trying to paint an emotion is another challenge. Alright, let's try that. Now I've got another guy's face. I'll show you. I've got this guy's face here as well. Now I was a little worried that they would look exactly the same because they're kind of on the same angle. We'll see if I can avoid that. I might have to change one of them, probably this one because he's small, to just like be looking up or something. Because you don't want two things to be exactly the same in a painting unless they're supposed to be, because it kind of just, especially if you're coming up with it, it just makes it look a little bit unbelievable. But maybe I can use that guy as a reference. Alright, so I'm going to go in here and do a few more light spots, establish a few more highlights here. Another nice thing about doing it out of your head, just creating a scene, is that it doesn't have to look like anyone in particular. I want him to be a young man, but other than that, I don't really care how he looks. I'm doing some really small portraits right now for a commission, and that's so tricky because you'd think something smaller would be easier, but they're like the size of my thumb, like the tip of my thumb, and it still has to look like the people. So yeah, finding that really tricky. I'm really happy that I have this guy who has a bit more of a substantial size. To start out this painting, I used a sketchbook and just came up with a few sketches. Here was one that I liked that I fashioned this whole painting after. So I really liked the way that he was, just looking like he's dancing. So I'm going to try to do that on the bigger scale. I find that a little bit gets lost in translation when you go from small to big, but having those original sketches is really helpful. So I'm just going to leave this up here. It can be my reference. There we go. And I didn't do any detail on that drawing. It's just the shape of the face with one line for the eyes, just in here. So we've got some kind of shape in here now. And now it's just a matter of refining it, I guess. So he still looks rather ghosty. I've had people come up to this painting, because I did a lot of people in this painting, and just say, ooh, is that the ghost of the ship or something like that? Like, it is right now, but don't worry, it'll change. And with a painting, you can't expect it to look amazing at the beginning. It'll look amazing eventually, but you gotta just persevere and get past the difficult parts, the ugly parts. I think that, for me at least, I have a few stages. I have the first stage where it looks awesome. I just like slap on paint, it's so fun. And then I go to refine it. And then it just looks absolutely terrible for a long amount of time, like most of it actually. And then in the very end, like, 80% through the painting, it starts to look good again. And then hopefully you can get it to that place where it looks great. And I know that a lot of people say, well, don't overdo your painting, don't render it too much, but I think that there's a sweet spot where it does look bad when you're rendering it, but then eventually it gets to a point where it's really actually looking the way that you want it to and the way that you imagined in your head. It looks really cool. So that's what I like to do with my paintings. I like to see how far I can push them and render them. And with acrylic, you can always go over top of it again. It doesn't matter. I can paint over this whole thing if I want to. Alright, so we've got kind of a skeleton now. He looks a little bit like the pirates on Pirates of the Caribbean. A little bit of flesh on there. But let's turn that flesh into skin. Think about underneath how there's going to be a shadow pretty much next to the violin there. The light's hitting it here, light's hitting it here. I like this angle. I don't love this angle that's coming down. It's like kind of directly on him. But it's also from my head, so I can make it how I want to. I kind of forgot about his ear. I should probably put that in too. Okay, let's do some measuring here. So I've got, let's say from eye to eye, that's about the same thickness as his chin to the bottom of his eyebrow. Okay, so now I'll just measure my own face. Got the chin to the bottom of the eyebrow. Eye to eye, it's close. Feel like his chin might need to be, well, his eyes might need to be a little higher, actually. But then there's also this perspective, so I gotta remember that. If I'm leaning down. Yeah, probably makes sense. Okay. Let's make that ear. So I'm following the nose. Nose comes to about here. And his ear can go up. And his head is kind of tilted, so I'm gonna see that ear pretty well. I'm trying to debate with myself to see if I should make him have a smile on his face, or if he's like concentrated, or maybe like laughing, I don't know, singing. I think like a grin would be kind of nice. So his whole face is going to change a little bit if he has a grin. His cheekbones or his cheeks are going to be higher. You can also look in the mirror or get a friend to just pose a little bit. I got one of my friends to pose for his fingers because I was just at a loss. I'm like, how do hands work? I don't know. And I couldn't see my own properly, so just asked him to, hey, can you do this as soon as he comes downstairs? He's like, okay, crazy. Now, even on a painting that you're copying a picture on, it's always important to step back from it a lot. I've seen a lot of, I've been watching Portrait Artists of the Year, and I noticed that they never stand back from their paintings, and I don't know how they can do that, because that's the only way that you can see it in the perspective of everything else, and you can kind of just see it in a different light if you stand back. Another thing that you can do is take a picture of it and look on your tiny little phone. It'll make it look quite different, and you'll usually be able to notice mistakes that way. It also changes the color a little bit, which is good. I think it helps to just look at it in a different way a lot. Or switch it to black and white or something. Okay, now he's like moved from skeleton to like someone who has had powder thrown on his face. I think that's a good progression. That's my guess. The hard thing about doing people is when we look at a portrait, as humans, we can immediately tell what's wrong, or we can tell that something's wrong, because we look at people all day, every day, and we know what they look like. Like, I've been drawing some dinosaurs because I'm living in Drumheller, which is a place that has a lot of dinosaur bones that have been found. They have a museum, and I was sketching them the other day, and I'm like, oh no, that little bone is in the wrong place. And I'm like, okay, nobody is going to know that, because we don't, unless they're like a paleontologist, we don't see dinosaurs every day. And we don't study them like just subconsciously all the time. But with people, you definitely do that. Now, normally I would be drawing all of him at the same time. I'd be drawing like the hands, drawing the arms and stuff, all of the skin. But because I'm doing a little demo for faces, I'll just stick to the face. But I do that normally so that it's so there's continuity, so that you can see the shadows are the same and the colors are the same that you used all over the skin. I've seen a lot of old paintings, like classical paintings, where the face looks quite different from the other parts of the body because it was worked on at a different time or worked on longer or whatever. So just be conscious of that. Try to keep the continuity there. I don't know about you, but I've found that when I'm drawing a person or anything, if I'm drawing a building or a car or a boat or something, then every time you see one of those in real life, you just like stare at it. So when you're drawing people, you're just starting to stare at people after that. Kind of awkward, but you can explain. And I'm just using the most frayed brush in the world. I don't really care at this point if it's super neat. I'm just trying to get the shape in there. I also don't worry too much about color at this stage, because you can always, with acrylics, or with oils, you can go over top of it with washes afterwards, like just watered down paint with color, and you can change the color really easily. And with oils, it's called glazes. With acrylics, it's called washes. And at this stage, I'm just focusing on the lights, the shadows, the form of the thing that I'm painting. So if I'm thinking about color at the same time, I just find that it's too much. I know a lot of people can do that, and good for you if you can. That probably saves a bit of time. But I'm not there yet. One day. Now, I want him to be skinny, but not like emaciated. I want him to feel like he's young, but strong at the same time. Because of his job, he's a sailor all day, so he's pulling those ropes. I actually was fortunate enough to do a sailing trip. And yeah, it's hard work pulling those ropes, especially when in my case, I was pretty much the oldest one on the ship. So I had stronger muscles than most of the younger kids. And that meant that I got the job of pulling ropes a lot and getting those sails up. And at one point, we had a guy who was creating a video for the sailing. It's a program called Salts, and he wanted both of the ships, because they had two ships, to be in full sail and sailing past each other a few times. And so we had to pull all the sails up, and we had a time limit because the sun was going down, and the other ship was only able to stay there a certain amount of time. And so it was just like, go, 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 pull all those sails up. And yeah, my arms felt like jello afterwards. I could not move them. But I asked if I'd be allowed to stand on the very front of the ship, like the bow sprit. And they were like, sure, go ahead. So I was able to stand on the bowsprit and feel the salt wind in my hair and get the photographer to take some video footage of that. And it was my reward. It was really, really awesome. Definitely one of those experiences I'm not going to forget. So yes, my point to all that was that he would be strong, because that's what he does all day. Now I know that I'm supposed to paint from my shoulder, which I'm trying to do more of, but I always forget. And I find it actually really, really difficult at this point because I haven't done it all the time. So I'm constantly drawing from my wrist here, but that's not as good. You can't stand as far back, and it's not as good for you. So this is kind of a scary part because you're like, wait, I just painted over everything that I just did. What the heck am I doing? But with acrylics, I always say this, with acrylics, you can just wipe it off. So you could use like a paper towel or something. I just use my hand, my fingers, and then a big brush. So now I've knocked them all down. I do that so that I can kind of get a better idea of what's happening. Like it's a little more blended together. It's a little bit more of the right color. And it just looks a little bit more real if I've done that. It's got a bit of texture on it too, because I touched it with my fingers. And you can always wipe out a little bit more where you want your highlights to be again. There we go. So now I'm going to dry that, because if I start painting on that, it's going to do some weird textury stuff that I don't want. Okay, so I've got that nice dark color on my brush now. And I'm going to try to define his features a little bit more, because right now they're just all ghosty. So we've got that shadow under his nose. Got shadow under his cheeks because he's smiling. This is looking a little bit more like a bottom lip, which is great. That's what I wanted. So just try to memorize like where the shadows are on a face. You've got the bottom lip, under the cheekbones there. You've got underneath, did I say the bottom lip? Well, you've got the top lip is shadowed and under the bottom lip is shadowed. Under the nose, this is if the light's coming sort of from above. Those ears. Ears are weird. I always forget how they actually work. And you've got under the eyebrows. And it's weird when you're drawing a person, like in real life that you're seeing from kind of far away or whatever, you can't really tell all the little details on their face. You see like their spots for their eyes, like their hole under their eyebrow area. And that's usually pretty dark. And then you see under their nose, and that's pretty dark as well. But you don't want to draw that because you know that there's an eye there. You know that there's an eyebrow. You know that all the lips and stuff are there. So that's what you want to draw, but that's not what you're seeing. So trying to get out of that what you know is there and what you're seeing there. Try to distinguish between those two. Now he sounds a little bit, he looks a little bit too contemplative right now. Like he's like, oh yeah, this music is so good. I want him to be more like, woohoo, we're having a fun time. Here's some music for you guys. Party. That's the feeling I want, so I'm going to try to change this a little bit. Make him look like he's having a little more fun. It's all in the eyebrows. Maybe I need to open his mouth a little bit. I'm going to try that. One thing you can do if you're really stuck on an expression, you're not sure what to do, you can leave it for like an hour or all night or whatever. Go do something else and then come back to it and just like glance at it and see what's your first impression of what the expression is. And you'll usually be able to see, oh, that's wrong because of this, or that doesn't look right, what do I need to change? It helps to just get a refreshed brain. Now it's really, really difficult to avoid the creepy look when you're trying to just come up with a painting, or if you're doing it from a photo. I find that there's always got to be at least one creepy look during your whole process of doing the portrait. Hopefully you don't end on that look, because usually people will look at their commission painting and go like, huh? Is that what I look like? Wow, okay. But that's not what you want. You want them to go, wow, that looks like me, that's amazing, or that looks like my loved one. That's the goal you're going for. I feel like I've reached the creepy look here. Don't worry, we're gonna change that, hopefully. Alright, so I spent a little bit of time taking photos of myself to see if I could gather any insights on what I should change, how things are going, if they're accurate to how a real person would look, and it looks pretty good. I think there are a few things that are off. This mouth looks a little weird. I'm going to try to change that. The nose is a little bit flat and round, and I don't think I want that for him. But all in all, I think the proportions are all right. It's kind of an adventure doing something from your head. You don't really know if it's going to work out, how it's going to go, what's going to need to be thought through. But that's the fun of it, right? I think there's a whole other world that just opens up if you start doing something from your head, because you don't have to be bound by anything. It can just be something that is ancient, like you could paint something old or something fantastic, like that comes from a fantasy world that you made up, or like this wouldn't really happen these days, but it's fun to just recreate it in a way that's just in my head. We weren't really bound by anything, which is so cool. So he looks a little bit happier now, not depressed. Not quite as creepy, it's still a little creepy. He's always looked pretty young, I think, which is good. That's what I'm going for. Alright. So as you can see, this is probably one of the hardest things to do. Totally struggling. Painting a person with an expression from your head is definitely difficult. But it's really interesting, really fun. You realize how little you know about the human body and their faces and how to actually make an expression. So he's kind of more of a tone, value that I'm liking, because he's not quite as bright. You can see that there's not too much difference between the shadow and the highlight. I'm probably going to add a bit more, make him a little more contrasty, but I'm liking that. One of my favorite YouTubers, his name is Andrew Tischler, and he says, what you need to do when you're struggling is say what's working, what's not working, and what if. So right now I'm seeing, okay, the skin tone is working. I think the size is working. What's not working? His expression's not quite working. A few other things. I want more detail in here, but it's hard to figure out how to actually get that until you're happy with your base. You're blocking in. I definitely changed the color a little bit. I'm thinking he's looking a little bit too pink, maybe he looks quite real, but not in the surroundings that he's in. He needs to have some green, some yellow in there, some bluer shadows. And he's kind of just looking a bit meh. He's the main character in my painting. I want him to be more interesting and have a bit more expression. So that's what's not working. And what if I completely change his face to make him look like he's just singing or something? go. There's his little face there. He still looks a little bit like the guys on the Rice Krispie box, but I'll probably work on him a little bit more before finishing the painting. I've got quite a bit more to do, so I'll have lots of time to look at his face. Yeah, get out there, get doing something real fun, try to spend some time painting. And with this one, like, I haven't worked on it for quite a while, so this was the first time in like a month that I've worked on it, and I'm realizing that I really missed it and I'm looking forward to finishing it and showing you the whole thing in a future video. Have a good month. Take care.